I'm Kari Mason-Nguyen, and I'm going to do another cooking video. And this cooking video is about one of my favorite all-time culinary inventions, the sandwich. The sandwich is an amazing thing, synonymous with the weekend, so I make a lot of sandwiches on the weekend. And this is my all-time favorite sandwich, and it doesn't even have cheese. So that tells you how good it tastes. So this sandwich is called the Vietnamese Banh Mi sandwich. It is a French-inspired baguette-style sandwich packed with flavors and a really good treat to have anytime, and something I make often on the weekends. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about it while I have this cooking, and I'll explain what this is in just a second. This is pork. A nice pork loin that I got at the grocery store that I cooked in the oven with no spices. Cooked it in the oven, covered in aluminum foil, covered. After it cooked, and cooled down, I sliced it thinly and put it in a bag. And then I took something called lemongrass and onion and diced it up real fine. Lemongrass is kind of of course I'm out of it, but this is the package from the grocery store. You can get it at the Asian market, or like the produce at Price Cutter has it. It's like a stalk of light yellow, and you peel the outer layer off and then you dice the inside. It gives it a tangy kind of lemon mint flavor without being too tart or overpowering. So I diced that up real fine along with onion, and I sauteed it in a little bit of olive oil, got it nice and soft, and then once it cooled down I put it in the bag on top of the pork, and then I made a sauce to put in there and basically marinate the pork for at least 4 hours. You can do it overnight, but I do it usually for about 4 hours if I have the time. So the sauce was about 3 tablespoons of soy sauce, okay? And 3 tablespoons of that good old fish sauce that you see in some of my recipes, very typical of Asian dishes. 3 tablespoons each of those. I put in a third of a cup of sugar, because we're gonna, when this cook, it kind of caramelizes because it has the sugar in it. And then I put in about a teaspoon of ground black pepper. That's what I put in the sauce. Mix it together real well, try to get the sugar to dissolve. And then I poured it in the bag over the pork, the lemongrass, the onions, sealed it up, stuck it in the refrigerator, and let it marinate. Let it marinate and get all those good flavors in the pork, because this is all about flavor. The sandwich is flavor, flavor, flavor. Flavor, flav. All right. So I'm going to turn that up high and try to kind of burn off some of that liquid, and the sugar should kind of caramelize it. So while that's cooking, real good for the sandwich, I'm going to talk about the other ingredients in a banh mi. One of the banh mi is on a baguette, and you can look in the oven. I've got some warming up here right now. There's the baguette that I actually made last night, homemade. I'm going to put cancel and let that continue cooking. But you can get them at the grocery store if you have a really good baker. Baguettes are all about a thin, crispy outside. It has to be real nice and hard and crispy on the outside, and then the inside is very light and fluffy bread. Tastes real good. I personally like to make my own baguettes here lately because I'm having a hard time finding good quality baguettes here in town. So the baguettes are warming up. If you can make the sandwich fresh from making the baguettes, that's great, but I made mine last night, so I'm reheating them and trying to crisp them back up. Okay, so inside the banh mi, there's a few vegetables, in my recipe anyway, in most banh mi's. Cut up cucumber, okay? Cut up cilantro, cucumber and cilantro. If you like a little spice, which I do not, but my husband does and a lot of people do, sliced up jalapeno. Okay, they don't agree with me, but a lot of people like them on the banh mi. And then the last vegetable is something called daikon, radish, and carrot. And I'm out of the daikon because I've used it all, but here is a picture of what was around the veggie. I got this at Price Cutter, but you can get it at the Asian market. It's a white radish, usually pretty big, usually about 12 to 18 inches long. Doesn't cost much, but banh mi sandwiches all have this pickled daikon, carrot, and they're great on their own. I could eat it just as on its own as a side dish. But what you do is you dice it all up and you put a little vinegar, some water, and some sugar. Stir it up and let it sit overnight. Softens it up and gives it a pickled taste. A little bit of sweetness because there's a little bit of sugar. You can play with the amount of sugar depending on how sweet you like your pickled veggies. But daikon is great. My only advice with daikon is to make just the amount that you want to use that day for that dish because it stinks in your refrigerator. And every time somebody opens the refrigerator and gets something and shuts it, you're gonna go, what's that smell? Even if it's, you know, kind of covered, it's the daikon. It does smell in the fridge. So I try to make just a little bit, enough for the dish. And then the last thing I put, well, there's two things, but I put pate. Pate is, again, very common in banh mi sandwiches. You don't have to have it, but I like the texture on it, the smooth. This is pork liver pate. I got this at the European market, kind of Eastern European, Russian market. They have cans of them, and they don't cost much, and it's great to just pick those up. I've made my own homemade, but for me it's kind of labor intensive to make it, so I don't have it enough to bother with it, so I just get the little can. But that's going to go on the sandwich too, pate. And then you're going to want to put mayonnaise. The Vietnamese, by the 1950s, after the French colonists and had kind of left the country, and the Vietnamese people were, you know, kind of allowed to modify the French food to their own desires and their own culture. They kind of took the baguette and substituted mayonnaise for the butter and kind of eliminated cheese and put vegetables in. So that's the Vietnamese making it their own. But prior to that, they were influenced very much by the French colonists that, you know, were settled there as French Indochina. So look at that. It's caramelizing, getting nice and brown. You can smell the onion. Oh, the lemongrass. It just really has a lot of good flavors in there. So that's almost ready. So you can put just plain mayonnaise, but what I do, and what a lot of people do, is they take a little bit of hoisin sauce and they mix it with the mayonnaise. Hoisin is a good tasting Asian sauce. Mix it with the mayonnaise. I put a little bit of sriracha mayo to give it a little bit of a kick, but not too much. I only had Miracle Whip on hand, but you know, that's fine. Use that. But if you can get Japanese mayo at the Asian market, it's a little bit of a different taste. I think it's a little bit better, but that's okay. And so we'll have that on the sandwich as well. All right, so ingredients all made. Bread's done. We're going to build our banh mi sandwich. So if you are looking to change up your sandwich game and try a little something different, go a day without cheese on something, I think it's worth it. Has a lot of flavor, might surprise your family. This kitchen smells so good right now. And, you know, my husband is a really harsh critic of any food, but let alone something he's really familiar with, which is Vietnamese food. And he gives this recipe I'm showing you a 10 out of 10. And he had some the other night. Matter of fact, he's going to have some for dinner tonight. And so that's how I know it for sure is a really good recipe dish. And you don't have to do lemongrass. I've done it without, but you know, lemongrass is kind of great for you. It has a lot of antioxidants. And okay, so I'm going to cut the bread up here. Get it ready for the sandwich. Now, I made this last night, and it's got a good amount of bread in it. It's, you know, I probably didn't proof it as well as I could have, and it could have been a little more airy. So I'm going to take a little bit of bread out to leave sufficient room for the pork. Okay, makes sense. So it has room for everything. So I'm just going to peel a little bit layer back there. There we go, because we want a lot of good innards to this. So I'm going to take, let's see, I think I have a knife here somewhere. There it is. All right, I'm going to take a knife to spread this. I don't think that's a good spreader, but I'm going to spread my mayonnaise on there. There we go. Get a little bit of flavor. You could do more than that, but I'm going to do that amount. I'm next going to plop my pate on there. This is going to be my dinner tonight. And I'm going to spread the pate. Great pork liver pate. It's going to give it a nice creamy texture. There we go. Okay, here's the exciting part. I'm going to put the pork on there. Yum yum. So let's get a little bit of this caramelized pork with the onion and lemongrass. Put some of the small amounts there. There we go. Look at that. All right. Then I'm going to go ahead and lay some cucumber. Again, this is my favorite sandwich. It's really got flavor. All right. I should be using tongs, but oh well. All right, I'm going to do the daikon next. There we go. Look at that. And the cilantro. This is in a lot of banh mi's. You don't have to use it, but if you're a fan of cilantro, this is the sandwich for you. Now, this is where I would normally put jalapeno slices on there too, but I'm going to leave it off because this is going to be my sandwich for later. But actually, I'll do it for illustration purposes. Okay, so you put the little jalapeno on there. There we go. There's the banh mi. And then, there we go. Ooh, it's nice and crisp too. Give it a good press down there. There we go. There is your banh mi sandwich. Nice and crispy, full of flavor. A sandwich I highly recommend if you want to try a different sandwich in your sandwich game. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you soon. Have a great day. Bye-bye.